You've all been waiting for to hear about the numbers of growing corn, so we're going to talk about silage corn and also grazing. So what I want to cover today is just cost of corn grazing, an option that quite a few people have been using over the last number of years. Cost of making corn silage. I want to compare the value of corn silage to other feeds that are available to us, and also talk about just how to calculate yardage, which can be a large expense if we are using corn silage. So why are we using corn for forage? We've talked about this today, but it has the potential to supply the most forage per acre. So this will either free up acres for other uses or produce more feed from your existing land base. It has the highest cost per acre, which means it has more risk. One thing with corn, if you do get the yield from it, it does have the potential to be the lowest cost feeding system. The good thing about corn grazing, cows do the harvesting. We don't have that silage cost, which can be expensive. Like we've heard today, you need to be careful with the paddock size and also with plant maturity. I'll show you some numbers here in a minute, but it can be the lowest cost method of winter feeding. The trade-off with grazing versus silage is just the ability to mix in lower quality feeds and less yield due to higher corn heat unit varieties being grown. So if we look at cost of corn grazing, so this is an irrigation example. So this is a spreadsheet that we have available to you. Basically how it works is you put in all the white cells, you can put in your own numbers, and it auto-populates everything else. So I'll run through an irrigated example here, and then we'll look at dryland as well. So I've got the top here, just our expected yield. So 14,000 and 10,500, so that would be the equivalent to about a 20-ton or a 15-ton silage crop. Look at our feed utilization, so pounds per cow per day. Got that in at 40, so that would be what the cow's going to eat and also what they would waste. So with that calculation, this will tell us that we're going to get about 350 cow days per acre on the higher yielding example versus about 263 on the lower yielding. We looked at our expenses to grow that corn crop. So we've got our field preparation at $10 an acre. Seed, which is the expensive part of growing corn, about $110 an acre. Seeding, about $21 an acre. Fertilizer, another big expense of growing corn at $120 an acre. We put in some chemical and also the cost of application. Most people are having that custom done, especially for that second application, so we're looking at about $25 for that. So you can see that our variable expenses to grow corn are going to run us about $286 an acre in this example. Some other things that we need to think about when we're calculating our costs that we don't always add in, but we should be property taxes, so about $6 an acre. For grazing, we need to put a value on our fencing, so perimeter fencing at about 5, cross fencing at about 3. And here's the big one that people tend to forget when they're figuring out their costs, is just their land costs. So just for an irrigated example, land rent in this area is probably around somewhere around $100 an acre, so that's what I put in here. Of course, if we're going to be irrigating, we're going to have to pay our water tax and our power bill, which is going to run us somewhere around $80 an acre. As you can see, our total expenses are going to be about $400 an acre, so quite a large investment. Another thing we need to do, of course, with corn is add some mineral to that ration when we're grazing, so another 13 cents an acre. So then you can see at the bottom here, it works out your cost per head per day. So for this irrigated example, we're looking at $1.27 to $1.65 per head per day. We see lots of people will supplement cows when they're corn grazing, so that would be added cost that you would have to add into this. And there's also, we always need to be thinking about our yardage. So just because our cows are out in the field grazing corn, it doesn't mean we can necessarily sell our tractor or bale processor or different facilities. So those are costs that you would still have even though that you are grazing. We look at a dryland example. So here I put in 9,100, which is about a 13-ton silage crop, and 6,300, which I think is about 9 tons. Same feed utilization at 40 pounds per acre, so we're looking at about 228 versus about 158 cow days an acre. The only difference in costs here between our irrigation and our dryland, in this example I put on $75 an acre fertilizer, which is quite a bit less than what we use in irrigation. Then obviously we don't have our costs of water tax or power, so we're still looking at about $305 an acre cost for corn grazing. Same mineral cost at 13 cents a day, so just in this example, we're looking at anywhere from $1.47 to $2.07 for corn grazing. So corn grazing, definitely an affordable option to feed your cows. So we talked about corn silage here today, and like John talked about, it has moderate protein in this area. I've seen feed tests anywhere from about 6 to 10% for protein. It usually comes back very well. They're high in energy. This year, most of the feed tests that I saw from this area were about 70% TDN. I have seen them as high as 75% in 1 year. So really, when you look at that corn silage, you know, it's got similar energy to what you find in screening pellets that you'd be able to purchase in Saskatchewan. The problem with corn is just that, with corn silage, is just that harvesting, it's a large check to write. So it usually comes in at that $10 to $12 a ton for that customer. One nice thing about corn silage in a year like this is it's great to mix off with lower quality feeds if you have a mixer wagon. So this is canola straw being tubbed around that, you know, normally cows would not eat if you just put it out on the bale feeder, but it's a way to force them to eat it. Though when it's mixed with corn, it still tastes good. But you do need to have a tub grinder come in, or else you know, bale processor that will process it fine enough. And you know, this is going to cost you probably $4 to $5 a bale to get that processed. If we look at what it costs us to grow corn silage, so across the top here is just our expected yield. So I've got 20 and 15. So we kind of, in this area, it seemed like this last year, our yields kind of ranged in that 15 to 20 tons per acre. You put in your 65% moisture, whatever moisture that your crop comes off at. It'll tell you how many dry matter acres per tons you get. So this would be 7, 5 1/4. So you're looking at, you know, 14,000 to 10,500 pounds an acre. Our costs are obviously quite similar to what they're going to be for the most part with our grazing corn. The big difference is going to be just this harvest cost at $11 a ton. So that's likely going to cover your custom silage operation, packing and liquid plastic as well. But that you can see we're looking at, you know, $220 an acre for harvesting, you know, to $165, just depending on how well that crop is going to yield. So then of course we add in our property tax, our land cost, that water tax and power, and all of a sudden we're almost at $700 an acre. So it's definitely a really high investment to grow that crop, but you know, this is where it makes sense. So total cost per wet ton, if we get that 20 tons an acre with those expenses, we're looking at you know, $35 a ton cost, and we work that into dry matter. We're at 4.9 cents a pound dry matter. We're not yielding as good. We're still not doing too bad. Our total cost per wet ton at about 42.5, and we're still at about 6 cents a pound dry matter for cost. If we look at corn silage on dryland, so just for this example, the two different levels I chose to put up here were just 13 ton an acre and 9. And the same as when we looked at the grazing corn, so we're going to put less fertilizer, so $75 an acre. Harvesting cost is less than irrigation, obviously, just because we're not taking off as much. But even when we add in, you know, all the costs for dryland, we're still fairly significant at about, you know, $440 to down to maybe $400 an acre. But it actually works out quite similar with these examples for what our total costs per wet ton and dry pound are in the end. So we're still looking at, you know, $34 to $44 wet ton, depending on our yield. And that's, you know, somewhere around 5 to 6 cents in that range. So how does corn silage compare to other feeds? So this year we were getting lots of questions from producers wondering, you know, what should I be buying for feed this year because I'm short. So we put together this spreadsheet that will kind of tell us the story on different feeds. So if we look at across the top, we're going to look at pellets, barley, hay, and corn silage. The next thing you do is put in your price per unit. So it seems like this year a lot of the pellets were about that $2.40 range, barley about $4.75. Hay earlier on, you can probably find it for $150 a ton, probably not anymore. And then if we can grow that corn silage for $35 a ton. Next thing you do is put in your pounds per unit, so pellets when we sell by the metric ton, so 2,204 pounds. Barley we know is 48 pounds a bushel. Hay typically sells as a short ton, 2,000 pounds, and same with corn silage at 2,000 pounds. You put in your dry matter, so our pellets 90%, barley about 89%. Hay's gonna run about 82% dry matter, and of course our corn about 35% dry matter, a lot more moisture in that than other feeds. You put in the crude protein values, so we're gonna range anywhere from 13 with our pellets down to about 10% with the corn. And of course the most important one is our TDN, or the energy that's available to these animals. We know that pellets, they can be all over the map just depending on what they're made of, but typically they're in that 68% range. Barley, kind of an average number, is 83%. Most alfalfa grass hays that I see come across my desk in this area usually run about 56 for TDN. And this year it seems fairly consistent, especially off the irrigated corn. The TDN has been running about 70%. So this spreadsheet will tell us our dry matter in dollars per pound. So we range from 5 cents for that corn silage, up to about 12 cents for pellets. But that really isn't the most important number that we should look at. So for most people, we're always short on energy. So if we look at our energy in dollars per pound, we figure it out for the corn, and it's about 7 cents per pound of energy from corn silage. And if you compare that to your hay, corn silage is half the cost for energy. And here it's 16.3 cents per pound of energy. And if we look at our pellets, it's probably one of the more expensive energy options. There is obviously benefits with pellets, some convenience factors. You're not having to grind that, but if you look at these numbers, you can see that if you can grow corn silage for a cost like this, you're probably a lot better off than having to be purchasing some of these other feeds. I just wanted to show you a quick ration. I know John talked about rations for cows, but just to compare costs here for looking at corn. So this would be kind of a typical ration that I've put together for a producer for a pound cow, 7 months pregnant. So we're going to feed them 8 pounds of alfalfa hay, 35 pounds of corn silage, 10 pounds of barley straw, and of course some trace mineral salt and vitamins. And this is out of cow bites, and the nice thing is you can put in all your costs per unit, so the same costs that I had in that last chart. So 150 a ton for the hay, 35 a ton for the corn silage. Barley straw I got in at $80 a ton, which would be about $40 a bale, I guess, and our salt and our vitamins. And cow bites will actually, take those numbers and tell us what it's going to cost to feed a cow. So to tell us for 1 day of this ration for one head, this is going to cost us $1.66 per day. So that's similar to what John was telling us. But the thing is, that's not our total costs on feeding that animal. So we need to think about yardage. And I've worked with lots of producers on their yardage, and I've seen them vary anywhere from 40 cents a day up to $2. So it really depends on the price of the equipment or how new it is, and then of course divide that by how many eggs you're feeding. So do you know your yardage? And what is yardage? Well, it's facilities, machinery, insurance, labor, fuel, electricity, etc. And like I mentioned before, you still have yardage even if your cows aren't in the yard. You're just not going to get rid of that stuff. It's a cost whether you're using it or not. The ministry has a cattle feeding break-even calculator on our website, and it includes a yardage calculator. It's an excellent tool to figure out your cost for backgrounding, but yardage should be applied to every animal that you're feeding. So all you have to do is Google this and it'll come up. So this is the first page of the break-even calculator. And on the bottom there's some tabs. So you click on that yardage calculator tab. And I'll just work you through a quick example here of how this works. So the first thing you want to do is put in your facility costs. So in this case, our original cost of facilities is about $40,000. We expect those to last for about 20 years. And at the end of that 20 years, the value is going to be about $1,000, so not very much. We put in an interest rate of 5%. So either we're paying on a loan that amount, or else it's money that's tied up that could be doing something else for us, so we're gonna have that cost either way. So the interest on investment, $975, our depreciation, per year is about $1950. Add on some taxes and some insurance, and our facilities are gonna cost us about $4,000 a year. Here's the big expense, so it's our equipment. So if we look at, original cost of that equipment, so if we have $150,000 invested in feeding equipment, we expect it to last, we're gonna keep it for 5 years and then trade it off or sell it. At the end of that 5 years, we think it should be worth about $75,000. We're paying 5% interest, so interest on that, $1,875 a year, depreciation, $15,000. We're gonna pay some insurance on that equipment, so $600, so you can see that, the equipment cost per year is about $17,500. Other things that we need to think about, so, if you're doing this for a backgrounding, scenario, you might wanna put in your veterinary and medicine, that could go in here. I didn't put it in for this example. Of course, we're gonna have some electricity, so we have some water bills, we're plugging in tractors, that sort of thing, at $3,500. If you're heating a shop, you could have, heating costs in there. This repairs and upkeep on facilities, per year, $500. Equipment, fuel repairs, for typical silage feeding operation, you could go through $10,000 in fuel repairs in the wintertime. Maybe you're feeding your cows out in the field, but your calves are in pens, so you're gonna have some crowd cleaning costs at about $2,500. And then, of course, operator labor, we should be paying ourselves for being at home doing this, so we'll put that in here at $12,000. So in this calculator, you can put in the number of head in the lot. So in this example, I've got 500, but maybe that's 250 cows, and then 250 calves, you're backgrounding. Average feeding days of 150, so this tells us that our yardage cost in dollars per head per day is 67 cents. So that's quite reasonable, I think, and that is a good number to strive for. But what if we, all of a sudden, instead of having 500 head, we have 250 head? And the only thing I changed, the one number that's gonna change the most is just this equipment, fuel. So I just dropped that from 10,000 down to 6,000. And all of a sudden, with 250 head, you can see our yardage goes up to $1.23. So, just trying to highlight that, what you have invested in equipment and facilities and, how many head you have is gonna have a huge effect on that daily yardage cost. That's all I have for you today. So any questions on any of this, or if anyone is interested in getting copies of these spreadsheets, you can just send me an email or give me a shout and I can send them to you. So.
Travis, you value the silage at $35 a ton, I think is what it can look at?
Yeah.
And that's juice, right?
Yeah.
To grow it.
Yeah.
Seeded right to in the pit.
Yeah.
But is that, is that the appropriate rate of value of it though? Like,
Well, I guess
the opportunity cost going to be much higher than that?
Yeah, I guess that's another way you could look at it. Like, I guess what barley silage is usually they look at 11 times the price of barley is the cost of that. So definitely, you could probably value that silage quite a bit more, I guess, on not just on the cost of production.
Any other questions for Travis, comments? All right, with that, thanks Travis, and thanks for organizing this event. It's been really informative so far.